Good evening, everyone. Hello to all of my buddies. A special hello, of course, to Blossom being the first one to arrive. Hello, Chris. It is such a pleasure to get to meet you and to get to know you. Of course, this is the very first of our book club meetings. My hope is that this is a success to kind of spur you on to reading more if reading isn't something you have time for normally. It's also to engage you in a really great book. Of course, we are starting with the book The Year of Yes. As such, I really want to hear your points. As much as we can, we will stick to the first five chapters. And let's start. Good evening, women. Is that, yeah, Louise? Guys, forgive me. I have been battling a headache and not feeling the best, but I'm here. I'm so glad you're here. So, if you would at least share with me if you've had the opportunity to read the first five chapters, so it gives me a frame of reference about what it is that you've gained from this book. And I'll give you a little rundown on what this book did for me and why I chose this book first. So I'll be a little patient while you type. Well, hello, my darling panda. Welcome in, and thank you so much for being here. Of course, guys, while you're typing, take a quick second, if you would, please, and tap that like button so that we have a record of you all being here, and YouTube understands that a book club online can be done. Russ! Well, Russ, why am I not surprised that you finished the whole book? But I don't think you're the only one. You guys, you have no idea how excited I am that all of you are here. Hello, Vivian. I haven't hit anyone's hello, so we'll start up here. So excited for this. I had to listen to it again after work. Yes, I did a quick, cursory glance over different parts of it myself, even though I've read it twice. So there's that. And of course, Louise is speaking. My darling panda says hello. Russ, you are the man. You know that though. Vivian is saying hello. So you guys, and of course, Russ is saying, I'm sorry, Panda is saying hi to Russ and asking, or at least hoping that he's feeling well. Yes, this is an exciting book. Okay, Louisa has not had the chance to read the book yet, but hopes to get some time. What book are we talking about? We are talking about the book The Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes. And this book for me, I'll explain to you why I picked this book of all of the books one could pick to start a book club with. You guys, for those of you that know me, let me be clear. For those of you that know me, you know I'm a very positive person. I'm a planner. I like to organize. And as much as I can, front load what I'm going to do. Hello, my darling Zach. With that said, there was an event that occurred in my life that caused me to be very stuck. I was emotionally stuck. I was mentally stuck. I just was not doing well. You will like this book, Panda. So I wasn't doing anything. I literally was on autopilot. I mean, outside of making sure the bills were paid, I honestly leaned on my daughter to remember to eat. I was not in a good headspace. And I had 3 or 4 Audible credits, and it just so happened this was a book that was suggested as a potential purchase. Of course, of course. Hello, my sweet Lisa. You guys come on in. Hello, Melissa. Guys, if I miss you as you're coming in, please know I am giving you all a blanket hello. Hello, my darling Michael. But I'm definitely meaning to say hello to you, but I need to get this out or else I'll get distracted, which we know happens a lot. Nonetheless, as I got the book, I did as a lot of people do. I got my Audible credit. I got the book. I didn't start it. I had other things to think about, other things I needed to do, and I didn't do it. Thank you, Russ. Thank you. Woohoo! Nonetheless, I went on ahead and started the book as I was driving to go pick my son up from college. I ended up listening to it. I think I sat in the car for probably an extra hour listening to this book. It was amazing to me how much of the storyline resonated with me, my experience, and the paralyzing anxiety, and how many times I said no to things that I could have been at and enjoyed, but I skirted away from my own fear of the possibility of somebody saying no to me or somebody judging me because I didn't fit the right aesthetic or I spoke differently than others, the way I carried myself, whatever. And I'm a very real and sometimes raw person. That being the case for me meant others may not necessarily receive it. So rather than get the negativity that I put in my head they were going to say, I didn't do things. I didn't go places. I was invited to events as a parent, as a speaker. A little bit about me: I am a certified Toastmaster. That is really strange to say because although I've done a number of speeches, I love public speaking. That doesn't bother me. It comes very easy to me, which is why after I got over my cringy behavior at the beginning of my channel, it became very easy to make videos. The long and short of it, I don't like engaging in interpersonal conversation with people. Talking to a crowd, super easy because you're at a distance. Like this, we can talk through the chat and I will talk with you. But at the end of the day, personal conversations in person, no, I don't do that very well. I'm always second guessing. Should I have said this? Should I not have said that? And I'd love to know, or any of you guys like that, how many of you have things you could have done, but you said no to simply because you anticipated someone else's reaction? And I'm going to pop back into the conversation for a second. Hey, Amber, welcome in. Hey, I'm leaving to take daughter to the youth at church. I'll be lurking for a few and until I can park again. Well, thank you for coming in, my darling. Be safe on your drive. And Russ is saying hi to everyone. And of course, Marty is agreeing with me. So it's good to know that I'm not the only one that has those behaviors. Well, the long and short of it is after I finished that book, I started realizing that, wait a minute, I'm going to stop for a second. I anticipate my own failings, so I just don't allow them to happen. Exactly. I can't ride a bike because I almost fell off a bike one time at 5 years old. Never got back on it. Never got back on it. Said I would never do it again, and I never did. Now I'm 54 and I can't ride a bike. And now that part doesn't bother me. The fact that I can't doesn't faze me. The fact that I prevented myself from having the opportunity to. Looking back on it, not one of my proudest moments. All right, I'll get 6 people and we'll come and have lunch and stay through dinner. You know what, Russ? You can. I've got a recliner waiting for you. Come right on. I don't know how the heck you're going to get up those steps, but baby, if you can make that happen, you are welcome to stay. I will cook. Well, hello, Roberta. Welcome and come in. We are talking about the book, The Year of Yes. And Melissa's saying, for sure, that happens to me regularly. Zach said, I have a fear of people judging me if I fail. Absolutely. 100% that is me. Lisa, you can have the chaise part of the sofa. Now, keep in mind, I have a very small apartment, guys. I don't have a whole lot of room. So there's that. And Jane said, I overanalyze everything and I make dumb of myself. My nerves get the best of me and my depression changes my perception of everything. That is exactly like poster child me. Roberta says, not staying, but wanted to feed your algorithm. Thank you, my darling. I really do appreciate you. So, with that in mind, that was what propelled me to want to bring this to the group, because I know what it did for me. It caused me to own the things that I could say yes to and was saying no to. It caused me to stop saying, I can't start that YouTube channel because people are going to judge me because I'm a plus size woman. I'm a woman of color. My hair doesn't fit the aesthetic. My smile doesn't fit the aesthetic. My skin doesn't fit the aesthetic. I had all of these preconceived notions about what would cause me to be a failure as a content creator on YouTube. And then I stopped believing that. And it wasn't that I believed it or didn't believe it. I didn't do it for anyone. When I first got started, I did it for me, so I could say I did it. And if I failed at it, then I was done with it. And it was over. And Marty says, expectation is debilitating. What others expect is what I assume they expect. Exactly. And hey, Sid, welcome in. Thank you for being here. Zach said, years of bullying has affected my self-esteem. I still feel like a failure sometimes. I can't honestly say I got a lot of bullying. I can't. I have a completely different journey, but I totally understand what that must have felt like, because though I didn't get bullied as a young adult or as a child, I was abused as a kid. So that's where my horror story comes from. Not fun, not easy, but it also stunted and it created a track in my head that said, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not this, I'm not that. And that's ironic, because I literally was known as the smart kid. I was the kid that could figure things out. I was the kid who learned how to overcome the obstacles that were in front of me very easily. So the fact that the biggest obstacle in front of me was a big deal. And this book helped me discover that, uncover that, and reverse that. So Roberta said, I don't do things because I have debilitating fear of getting hurt physically. Okay. I'm very sorry about that. Let me know if this book resonates with you and if it's something that improves things for you. Zach said, I was bullied in kindergarten right through 12th grade. I can only imagine. Russ said, with YouTube, if you have one solid follower, you have already won. This is true. This is very true. And I can say, for me, in this space, I have a number of very solid followers. Core people who I can guarantee the moment that I hit live, they're going to show up. And you guys are here. And I am greatly, greatly blessed by that. Now, let's get back to the book, because you know me. I can run my mouth. I'm very good at it. That being said, Marty said to Roberta, I feel that deeply. Roberta said, so I don't go anywhere or talk face to face with anyone, and lockdowns enabled it. Same, very much the same. I was the person who went grocery shopping at 2 a.m. because I knew there was never going to be anybody in the store other than maybe a few stock people or other people like me who didn't want to talk. They just wanted to get their shopping done. And that's when I shopped. Now I can't do it. Russ said he's good at getting off topic. As you can see, so am I. I was not bullied my entire life until YouTube, to the point that I wanted, oh my gracious, the folks who, I'm very sorry about that, Jane. I'm very, very sorry about that. That's one of the reasons I am such an advocate for positivity and for speaking directly to my audience and saying that I love you, I support you, and I won't tolerate bullying here. This is a place of positivity. This is a place of support. This is a place of love. If that's something that's not comfortable for you, scroll. Nothing else beyond that statement, scroll. And if you say things inappropriate, you will be removed from my group. Simple. Now, back to positivity. Roberta is agreeing. And Sid very well said. Unfortunately, we are our worst critic. Once you realize people aren't paying as much attention to you as you think, you stop being in your head so much and overanalyzing. Sometimes hard, but possible. Yes, it's true. If we listen more to the possibilities, and the ironic part for me at least is I have all of my children's lives said, I understand what you think you can't do it anyway. You know, especially having a child with an intellectual disability and being told all the things that they would not do, what they could not achieve, what they would not be able to accomplish. And as they marked those things off as things they were doing, my response was, okay, well, they can't accomplish this. Okay, we're going to do it anyway. And I'm the kind of parent, that's sitcom person. That's the, you won't do this to my child. I didn't say it that way, but I gave that impression. And I was an absolute Karen when it came to mommying. You are not going to tell my child what they cannot do. You're going to make space so that they can do. Now, conversely, when we got home, if my kids were out of order, I was the last. My kids wanted to see the police before they saw me. Because if you did something wrong, I'm taking inventory down to the last rice grain. I don't play. It's that simple. Now, just as aggressively as that sounded toward my children, I'm 10 times worse on myself. I missed something. What did Russ say? Look in the mirror and say, Russ loves me. I'll be in your corner. Yes, well, I love Russ. And Melissa said, I rarely go out once a week or less. My confidence is pretty low. I listen to my inner critic. Well, I would ask of you to listen to a professional if this becomes a struggle that is more than you can handle. But give yourself a chance to impress yourself. And I'm not reading it out loud, but I love you for saying it. Oh my goodness. Oh, I live in St. Louis. This is a place that survival is a challenge, and the fact that you do survive proves your tenacity. Let's get back to the book, guys. This book really opened my eyes through though, because while I have been in my house avoiding everyone and everything and keeping my physical body, my mental energy and my emotional safe, I've missed out. A lot of us do by simply saying, oh, I no, I can't or I won't. Good evening. Good evening. Wait a minute. Hello, everyone. How are you? My mom did not play that either. She was 5 foot and she scared me and my 6 foot tall father to death. 5'4". We are tenacious. We really, really are. Now, as Marty said, this book made me realize that because I didn't even realize it was happening. I completely lost myself. It was a mental fog for me as well. And Shonda talks about that in the beginning of the book. I love that she opens up. Well, I love the prologue where she mentions that she lays track. She literally gets paid to make up stories. This is a woman who at the time, and we'll talk about the Easter egg a little bit later, at the time that she wrote this book, had Grey's Anatomy. If I'm not mistaken, I forgot the one about murder, How to Get Away with Murder, and other shows that have private practice. She literally talks about the fact that she is Thursday night on ABC. Asked to speak all over the world, turns it down. Asked to meet, this king, that queen, these, diplomats, and she would Scandal. Thank you. I, I'm embarrassed to say because Scandal was one of my shows. I lived for Scandal. But with that said, this is a lady who could literally write the best of the best, and yet could not talk to anyone. She spoke about the experience of being interviewed by Oprah and having to find a creative way of asking. So, without saying, so what did I say? What did I look like? Da, da, da. She had no memory of it. None. Hello, Sugar Diamond. And our Amber is safe where she needs to be. I'm so, so glad about that. So, all of that being said, the Thanksgiving of 2013, she ends up helping her sister get ready to prepare the dinner. Okay. My mercy. With that said, she's preparing dinner and she's bragging as much as a baby to their big sister can brag about the persons she's been invited to meet or events that she's been invited to go to. And the sister asked, her sister's name, by the way, is Dolores. Well, are you going to go? No. And sister doesn't miss a beat, goes, you never say yes to anything. 6 simple words. You never say yes to anything. And mind you, she continues on with the rest of the evening. She heard it, but it didn't resonate. Fast forward a little bit. She doesn't think about it. She shares with us an experience as a child because she'd always been the baby. She got all of what she wanted anytime. If she was arguing with a kid about something, her mom told the other child, give it to the baby. Let the baby have it. As the eldest, this was hard to hear because I experienced this. Give it to your brother. Let your brother. Anyway, that's just my story. But with her, she used to play in the pantry. And to her parents' credit, they were supportive of her very vivid imagination. She literally created a whole community out of the canned goods in the pantry, spending hours in there just playing. So if you wonder how she became the creative person she is today, it started when she was a kid. So wait a minute, I'm sorry. And all the men in the community, aka, that's true. Um, hey Panda, we're saying hello. Panda said, I tend to listen / read post a pop. Okay, very cool. Okay, everybody is speaking. Nonetheless, back to the book. So this event happens, and maybe a week before her. No, the birthday comes, and out of nowhere, she wakes up and hears. She wakes up out of nowhere. Nothing causes this wake up. It's not the kids. It just is a situation. She wakes up and she's having an anxiety attack because she realizes she never says yes to anything. She had been told she's attending the Kennedy Center honors with the president and his wife, sitting right behind them. Can you imagine sitting behind the president of the United States of America and you have imposter syndrome, but you've never said it that way? That has to be more than a notion. I can't imagine. I simply cannot imagine. But moreover, this is someone who works with all kinds of actors and actresses. And she's totally cool and fine with that part. But now all of a sudden, the spotlight's on her and she's shaking. What she hears herself say, I would have said no. That's what woke her up. That's what scared her. I would have said no. She wasn't given a choice. She had to be there. So she was. She and her date looked amazing. That's beyond the point. If given a choice, she would have said no. Think about the number of times you've been invited to something and it wasn't really an invite. It was more, you're going to attend X, and you went. And maybe you had a great time, but given the choice, would anxiety have stopped you from going? How many things are there on your bucket list of things to do? Whether it's take a trip somewhere or try for a new job that might put you in more of a spotlight situation. Maybe it is go to the gym for the very first time and do a workout, join a class, or go back to school. I'm sure we all have things we would love to try to do, and we haven't done them simply because we believe we can't or we don't have time. We have our excuses in our list. Hello, Crafty Gypsy. Thanks for coming in. With that said, I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Thank you for answering those questions for me, Marty. I really appreciate it. Mimosas with Carlos Santana. I would die. I would die 1,000 deaths. I love Carlos Santana. But okay, wait a minute. What did you say? I don't want to miss that. Anxiety. Oh, absolutely. Anxiety prevents me from doing almost everything. Anxiety prevents me from doing more than I can even begin to tell you guys. So let's move on a little bit to chapter 2. Chapter 2's title is Maybe. Working as usual, the Kennedy Center event is what we just talked about. She said she woke up at 4 a.m. on her birthday. Now, bless her heart and bless her children's nanny's heart, who is basically the person who does the behind the scenes things for the kids. They have everything arranged. They bake her a cake. She has, cake and ice cream for breakfast. And she makes it appear that everything is smooth as butter. The reality is she's having an internal breakdown because she realizes she would have missed one of the most important events in her life because she would have said no. We don't know the door we don't open. The fact is, on the other side of the door would be the opportunity of a lifetime, and we're going to miss it because we're not going to open that door, because we're going to let our internal dialogue tell us, that's not for you. Don't do it. Or you're going to, as she put it, she would fall on her face, choke on a chicken bone, and a whole bunch of other stuff. But man, was it crazy. So she said, this is what, as she put it, she would have laid track. This is what propelled her to begin her year of yes. And unlike many of us who tell ourselves the secret, which poop, that's it, poop. We tell ourselves a secret. Oh, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna start a YouTube channel. I started this YouTube channel in July of 2023. Think about that. You can go look after this. You will see that the creation date for this channel is July of 2023. Told myself, I'm going to do it. Then check the date of the first video. So I'm no different than any of you. I hold myself back. I'm not yet at 6 months of actually putting videos on this channel. And I think Russ shared it, 560 subscribers to this channel. There are 16 of you here for a book club, and just because it's me, and I don't understand that. Mind you, 100% grateful. I do appreciate you being here. But the idea that you're here for me, and I don't think I've met even one of you in person. Yet I feel like I know most of you. That means everything to me. But back to the book. Chapter 3. Um, yes. So on her birthday, by the way, is coming up. Her birthday is January 13th. She said she wanted a puppy party. She loves dance parties. With a caveat, I'll explain in a second. She loves the idea of parties. And she's always taking her inventory. And by taking her inventory, essentially what she's doing is saying, oh, if the kids say, you never come to this or you never do this for me, mommy, report card. She gets an F. I'm sorry. I don't know what the name of the book is, but I understand the panic attacks. After the stroke, I did not and do not like going out. I can only imagine the answer to your question. The book we're talking about is The Year of Yes, the Mommy Scorecard. Thank you. This is why I needed you, Marty. The Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes is the name of the book we're talking about. And she didn't just say, I'm going to do this only to herself. She said it to others. She let her publicists know. She let friends and family know. She let her kids know. Anybody she talked to learned that she was saying yes. Yes to the things that scared her. Yes to the things that she would ordinarily have said no to. Yes to it all. That's hard. That is absolutely hard. I did my year of yes last year, and initially I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell anyone. And then I told a couple of people. And in July, I told, I would say, the right person at the absolute wrong time. I was super busy, super stressed out. And they said, oh, yeah, by the way, all that yarn you got, what are you doing with it? Well, I'm making this and this and this. And I'm doing that. That's great. When are you going to start your YouTube channel that you started last year? How's that yes going? Blew me out the water. I had to make changes. And I did, which is why we're here having this conversation. I just looked at the date I started this channel and the date I put up my first video, nearly 9 years apart. A lot of us have that story. Hey, Tina, welcome in. So she said that this decision propelled her anxiety. At the same time, she knew she had to do it. She is the epitome of a type A person. She's got to win. She started a baking competition on Grey's Anatomy and then had to pull herself out because she's so competitive that she literally said in front of a bunch of people that she's the boss of. In your face, B words. And I won't say the real word. I would normally, but I won't say it here. And can you imagine your boss saying that to your face? In your face. Oh, please, I would be fired. I would be fired. And that is what it is. It was. And she is. Lisa says, I'm listening, beautiful. Just lurking while crochet. I feel you with most of this. Yes, Lisa, a lot of us are in the same boat. I am hoping that those of you who haven't started the book but have gotten it will take the time to read this book, because I promise you it will give you a bit of a paradigm shift. It certainly has for me. I am guessing from what I'm reading, I'm not the only one. It sounds like Marty has been bitten by the yes bug too. Back to this. She learned to lean in. Lean in. It's one thing to say yes, I'm going to do X, and then do so badly. It's a whole other experience to lean in to the experience. Engage in what you're saying yes to. I've been saying this as long as I've been talking about this. Listen to it on Audible. Hear it in her voice. be motivated by her story and her enthusiasm and her infection. So that that was my experience. Um, I'm sorry. Realizing what she had agreed to, that was probably the biggest fright she had. And then she gets a phone call a week later from the president of her alma mater asking her to do the commencement speech. This was literally a week after her birthday. And she's sitting on the phone with him, and it's the whoosh sound that's going on in her head. He's talking, 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 talking. And she's telling herself all the reasons why she can't. She can't, I won't, da 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 da. I have to say yes. I have to say yes. So she says yes. But she releases some of the anxiety by saying, well, I've got 6 months to do this. And she puts it out of her mind. But this is her first yes. That may seem like the first win. It's not the first thing she does as her first yes. The first thing she does is Jimmy Kimmel. Now, for those of you who've ever seen Jimmy Kimmel's show or know the premise of the show, wait a minute, I'm sorry, I don't want to miss the conversation. Y'all know the whoosh in your head sounds like pounding waves inside your skull. It does. It does. Mine comes with the heart palpitations and an asthma attack. It's dangerous. But nonetheless, she contacts her publicist, who she has trained, coached, and conditioned. I don't want to do it. Whatever it is, whoever's calling, whatever they're asking, the answer is no, I'm not doing it. Don't call me, don't ask me, I'm not going to do it. And when they first came on board, she's like, but you'll change your mind. And she's like, no, I won't. I am not going to change my mind. I know I'm not. And then she even quoted Whitney Houston during an episode of Being Bobby Brown, where she said, hell to the no, because she was adamant, I'm not. And here she is having to backpedal that statement. And she's like, I'll say yes, but here are my conditions. We have to pre-record it. Jimmy Kimmel is a live show. We have to pre-record it. Now, she did try to talk him into sending other people. Send Kerry Washington. Send, I can see their name. I can see their faces. I can't think of their names. Send somebody else. And he's like, well, Kerry just had a baby and everybody else has already been, and he wants you. So she goes. She says, but I'll go with this caveat. It's got to be pre-recorded. He said, okay, I'll ask. Jimmy said yes. And I remember that episode. She is paused and frozen. And I thought that the set must have been claustrophobically tight for her. That wasn't it. She was scared to take a step. She was scared she was going to fall. She was scared she was going to spill wine, either all over herself, all over the set, or all over Jimmy. She was afraid that she was going to make the cackling, embarrassing laugh that in her head is what her laugh sounds like. None of that happened. It was an amazing episode. In fact, it was the highest rated episode of Jimmy Kimmel to that date, or to the date of the writing of this book. So she survived. And then we move to chapter 5. We are at almost 40 minutes. So, nonetheless, I'm sorry, before I do that, let's get back to chapter 4. Yes to the sun. She keeps it real with her publicist. And that's important. And I want to stop right there for just a minute and talk about how we have told others things we cannot do. We have put the walls up that we're not going to cross over because we believe we can't. Like me and the bike, me and a lot of things, but particularly let's focus on me and the bike because that's an easy one. And I thought I never could. I had begun probably in my early 20s, not necessarily my teens, but definitely by my early 20s, telling myself I would never learn to drive. I had migraines, and my migraines can be debilitating to the point that I can't see out of one eye at times. I get physically ill. It's a daunting experience. But instead of leaning into the possibility that there could be a medication, no. I just took 800 milligrams of ibuprofen because that was what the doctor had prescribed for me. And I knew for 24 to 36 hours, I was unavailable. What I didn't understand was the onsets of those migraines. So what did I do? I did not, I didn't try to learn to drive. If I had to be responsible for something other than me, I didn't want to do it. I dealt with children. I knew if I had the onset of a migraine, I could call a neighbor to help me with the daycare kids, and I could get the support that I needed. Most times I ended up having to send those kids home. That's a lot for me. But the idea of driving, absolutely not. As I got a little older and I discovered that I could get help by going to the emergency room, which I didn't initially know, I didn't drive. So how do you get there? I didn't always have the money to catch a cab. I wasn't going to take a bus because I was too sick to do that. So that meant an ER visit included an ambulance ride. Humiliating. But I did what I had to do to get there. Still not learning to drive. I learned to drive not because I chose to learn to drive. I had a friend who said, hey, ride with me. I need to go to the bus station and purchase a ticket so that I can go out of town. And I thought, okay, no big deal. So I'm riding with them. And they asked me questions about why I didn't drive. And I shared my reasoning. I think it went right over the head because we get down to the bus station and they hand me the keys to the car. And I'm thinking, oh, that's just so I can stay cool in the car while they go buy their ticket. They said, oh, I'll see you in 2 weeks. What do you mean you'll see me in 2 weeks? You're going to drive yourself back home. You'll be fine. No experience. I mean, I've been behind the wheel to try to learn. My anxiety stopped me. I drove home with my hand on the top of the wheel and my hand on the bottom of the wheel, paralyzed. They wrote a note that said if I got pulled over, they had left their telephone number and their insurance information and the whole 9 yards. I didn't even have a permit. I drove home. I didn't know how to stop the car very well. So that you first do when you first learn how to drive, yeah, I did that. And I drove 19 miles from the bus station home. And then I had to go to work the next day. That night, I convinced myself I'm going to catch the bus. I'm leaving that car right where it is. I barely got it parked on the street. Thank goodness there were no other cars around me. And the next morning, they called and they said, you're going to drive to work. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. And I did. Scared. And I kept doing it. And I kept doing it. And I kept doing it. And I drove on the highway for the first time. Frightened, but I did it. I did it anyway. After 2 weeks, they came back. I threw the keys at them. I didn't want to drive anymore. And they said, so did you go get your driver's license? No. Did you go get your permit? No. So you had the opportunity to do everything everybody else can do, and you didn't do it. No. Why? I was scared. Okay, don't be scared. Tomorrow, after work, take the car, take the keys, go get your driver's license. Drive to work. And I did. I took my driver's test and we had almost finished. She said, make a right turn. And we get to the stop. There was no sign that said no right on red. I made the right after pausing to make sure there was no traffic. And she said, "You failed." I said, "Okay, get out the car." I admit I was a terrible person. I told her to get out of the car and I made her walk back to the station. So I got there. The other evaluator was like, "Where is so and so? She'll be here in a few minutes." I came back the next day. I passed my test. But the point of it was, if I stuck to what I believed was true of me, I still wouldn't drive. And that's a frightening thought for the number of times I've had to be the emergency transportation in a situation. Craziness. I'm sorry, let me look back up here and see what you guys are saying. Okay, I'm sorry I said that. I think that had to do with what I just said. Nonetheless, chapter 5. Yes to speaking the whole truth. She had just joined a friend group, which for those of you that have core friends, you know how important your friend group is to you. They're the people who pump you up when you're a little afraid to do something. They're also the people who say you need to calm down when you're doing team too doggone much. I have a couple of people in my life like that, and they gas me up when I need to be, and they remind me, "Miss Ma'am, control yourself," when they have to be. And women, it is funny because I was not afraid of anything or anybody until I had my stroke, and my grown kids still cannot wrap their heads around that. I can only imagine my kids as well. At this point, I don't think there's anything I do that doesn't surprise them. My kids, when I tell my kids I'm going to do something, they're like, "You will." They just are. They don't believe in the impossible because they've never known a thing that I've tried that I failed at. And I guess that's my blessing. And if I've done something that didn't work for me, I'm transparent about, "Hey, I didn't like this. I'm not doing that again." But it is what it is. Being new to her friend group, she shares with them that a week prior to the commencement speech, she hadn't even written it. "Hello, Lene, welcome in." And she writes this speech. And oh, it's picture perfect. It says all the right things, and it is absolutely absent of the one thing it needs to have: her. It doesn't tell anything about reality. It's not real. It's a script, just like all the scripts that she writes for all the shows. It's inauthentic. She's on the plane, on the way to do this speech, and she chucks it. She's on the computer, she throws it in the trash, the file, and that's it. She writes a whole new speech. And she talks about how literally the day that everybody is so excited about, graduation, she sat there and she cried as her parents packed her up and forced her to come home. She felt she was forced, not had the pleasure to start the new life she had been preparing for by going to college. That's not what she felt. She hated it because she hated change. She hated the fear. She hated the what if. What if I fail? What if you succeed? That wasn't something she could contemplate. It was the what ifs, checking her inventory, refusing to believe in her possibility. And to think, if her parents were the kind of people who said, "Okay, I'm sorry. Forgive me, guys. I have a relative who is texting me, so I need to clear that." Anyway, what if she believed what she was saying? What ifs are scary. We all have them. I have plenty of them. My most recent what if was, what if I don't hit 500? What if I don't get enough watch hours to become monetized? That was one of my goals. I want to become monetized. That's me being authentically transparent with all of you. That's one of my goals for this channel. I would like for this to be a income stream for me to continue to support my family. And the reality of it is, at this point, all of the work and the effort and the time and everything that I do related to this channel, it's not generating me money. It is bringing me joy. Don't let me check the box like this is work. Honestly, it is work, but it's not work I don't enjoy. At the same time, I'm giving a lot of time to this. It needs to pay me back. It has a job, and I'd like for it to be an income generating job. So I shared that with a lot of people, just like she shared her year of yes with a lot of people. And a lot of people said, well, I can do this and that will help you. I'll shout you out on my channel. I will talk. Boom, there. Thanks, guys. Thank you all for being patient. I apologize. It looks like I have a bit of a family emergency. I am so sorry. I'm going to cut this short, but we are going to resume the conversation this time next week at 6 p.m. Central Time. Guys, thank you all for being here. Thank you for being patient with this interruption. As you might guess, I'm a little bit frazzled, but I thank you. I thank you so much for being here. I love you all. And I hope that this has given you enough of an incentive to grab a copy of that book, either in audio form or physical form, and dive in. Lean into the possibility of what it can do to motivate you or help you take your story to the next step. With that said, guys, have some fun today. I love you. I thank you for being here. And I'll see you next time. Till then, bye bye.